Here we go. So, hailed for his especially stylish playing, The Guardian, acclaimed American clarinetist Berginald Rash is an exciting international artist, having performed at the Boyne Music Festival, Boston University Tanglewood Institute, Lake Tahoe Music Festival, and having won the Great Music and Irish Houses 2015 Support Act residency with the Mondrian Trio. Currently based in Dublin, Ireland. What time is it there, by the way?
It is 10 p.m.
Woo! He was awarded the Recital Artist Diploma from the Royal Irish Academy of Music, where he was an 1848 scholar and teaching fellow. A versatile and skilled pedagogue and clinician, he has served on the Prism Music Camp and International Chamber Music Festival faculty and has given a master class at Truman State University. Mr. Rash has been heard with such orchestras as the RTE National Symphony Orchestra, the Virginia Symphony, and the London-based Chinke, right? Chineke Orchestra, with whom he has performed on BBC Three's In Tune with Sean Rafferty and made his BBC Proms, Snape Malting's Proms, Gent Festival Vlander.
Yeah, the Ghent Music Festival, you could say Ghent Music Festival.
Yeah, the Ghent Music Festival, South Bank Center's Queen Elizabeth Hall and Royal Festival Hall debuts, among others. Comfortable as both a chamber musician and soloist, Mr. Rash has collaborated with members of such orchestras as the London's Philharmonia Orchestra, Nashville Symphony Orchestra, City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra, the Frankfurt Symphony Orchestra, Atlanta Symphony, and with the RTE Contempo Quartet. He's been a featured concerto soloist at the National Concert Hall and Church Christ Cathedral in Dublin, Ireland. Berginald Rash is a Devon and Bergani.
Yeah.
You told me I need to try those clarinets. I haven't done it yet. Artist on the Fluency series, has been featured on the cover of the International Clarinet Association's September 2020 publication of the clarinet, and is a recent TEDx speaker, and then recently was appointed
Associate Artistic Director of Musici Ireland.
Yeah.
And was on the BBC Radio 3's record review, reviewing a whole bunch of clarinet albums recently released. So that was fun.
Yeah. So it's so good to see you. I know him as Bergie, Mr. Rash, and I went to undergraduate together at Florida State. So it's been a long time. This is also a homecoming. He did his master's degree at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. So he's back. Virtually.
In the UW system. Oh.
All right. So, who wants to go first?
We're the volunteers.
You can do it. Dylan, why don't you give it a go? I'm picking on you. So let me tell you a little bit about Dylan. We're all a little silly here. We're all tired, and we just finished recording for the studio recital.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, So Dylan's going to be performing the Rick Sowash's College Town Diary, the April and July. Yeah. You want to play a little bit? Make sure your reed works? Yeah. Is that too close? Too hot?
A little.
Can you back up just a hair? Maybe a little more? Try it one more time. Right there, yeah, on the outlet. Yeah, here we go. Better?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay,
That'll work.
great. So I'll just stick my hand out. I'll be sitting right here and say 5 minutes.
Great, thank you.
All right, so I'll turn it over to y'all.
good job, Dylan. Excellent job. Excellent job. Can everyone hear me? Lovely. All right. So, Dylan, let's talk about the positives because there were a lot of really good, solid things about what you were doing. I loved the quality of your staccato articulation. It's round, it's full, it's clipped, but still has presence. And so that's really, really lovely. And that can be, for a lot of us, a skill that we work on tirelessly to really kind of maintain. And you did it consistently throughout. So, very good job. You should be very proud of yourself. I would like to talk about a couple of things. Specifically, your tongue position. It sounds, and this will impact what's happening in other areas, but it sounds like the back of your tongue might be a bit low. And so I wonder, do you ever find yourself practicing voicing exercises where you're just kind of on a throat A, overblowing up a partial or two, and then going down chromatically without using your register key to get the top partials? Do you ever practice that?
I mean, it's not often.
Can we try something? I want to see if this has any impact. We're going to try a quick voicing exercise. And as you're doing it, just kind of think about what that feeling is like. And then when you approach the next bit afterwards, which we'll get to, try and recreate that sensation. All right, so this is what you're going to do. On your throat A, can you do that? Starting on throat A. Yep.
Like that?
Yep. And you can just do the first two. That's great. Yeah, that's great. Can you try that? Yep. Yeah. 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 And so this is where it's happening right there. When we get around the E, E flat, and D, we're relying really heavily on our register key to make the magic happen, to get those overtones, when actually the real effort, the real energy is in the position, the placement of the back of your tongue. And so you're really going to have to think about keeping the back of the tongue high in order to get those particular parts. So this is the E. Then the E flat. And then D. So try just the E up one partial, so, and then the E flat, then D. See if you can do those three. Yep. And so yep, there it is. And with the D, you're really going to need to keep the tongue position high in the back with a nice key sound, key. It's a high tongue, no tension anywhere, high tongue, flat chin, all that good stuff. Try the D. I hear it. Yeah. Yeah. And now, can you try this? This is one more thing. Instead of just jumping up from the E, when you get to the next partial, sustain it. So go, then D, E flat, then D, and see if you can hold it. Excellent. Yeah. And this is good. This is good. This is exactly what's going to happen because your tongue is now having to learn where it has to be. And you got it on the E, you got it on the E flat. And so if you can now go from those pitches, so you get the E, and then go down chromatically without using your register key once you get the overblown E. And see what that feels like. When you're doing that, think about what that feels like in the back of your throat. Yeah, now do that one more time, and this time go as low as you can without using the register key, sustain it, and see where it drops out chromatically. Yeah, good job. So those are excellent. So those are a couple of ways that you're going to think about practicing your overtones, because in order to do this sort of thing with the nice, clear, resonant sound, you need to get the tongue up, because that then will facilitate the airspeed that you need to keep those high pitches in tune and up. So let's try this again. Think about what that felt like from the beginning. Going up to, say, bar 13. Excellent. Can you hear a difference?
Yeah.
I love that. I think that was very clean. I think the intonation was spot on. It felt like you had more control. So I encourage everyone. I always, and this is what Dr. Bish had us do all the time, is to practice these voicing exercises, because they really help strengthen. And then from there, you can build your skills from that position, from having such a clear control over the placement of your tongue. And I find a lot of times when we have intonation issues, when we have, timbral issues, or we're not able to get a high pitch, it's not because, our mouth is wrong or our air is wrong. It's because of the position of our tongue. And this is a great way to check that. So that was excellent. Now, the other part of this is what I'm hearing is when you go into a slurred note with a staccato release, you tend to hit the slurred note, and then the sound sort of spreads. And I'm wondering if that's because of the air pressure you're putting behind, or out of a desire to create intensity, your tongue, like we were just finding out, is dropping, and that's causing that pitch to drop and the sort of surging, and it blows flat. So this time, trying the same thing. When you get to, say, where is it? So like bar 8, 7, 8, going into bar 10, when we're slurring into those staccato notes, really think about just keeping the tongue placed. That's not changing. Musicality is not in what the tongue is doing. That's where our air comes in, all right? And we'll talk about that a bit later. So go ahead and try this again, and just think about not dropping the tongue, but really just keep it, once you get it up there and stable, holding it. Yeah. Right there. That B flat to A at 16. Our tongue position dropped a bit to create maybe a musical moment, but it doesn't come across as musical. What it does, it comes across as maybe a bit of an insecurity in where the tongue needs to be placed. So especially up there, we really want to make sure that it's the most round sound. And think of, I don't know if you ever sing, if you guys are singers, but think of a very round, lifted sort of resonance where the sound is kind of glowing and resonating out of the top of your head. Like that. So actually, let's look at pickup into 14. Yep, that was better. That was much better. There's still a slight tendency going into that A in 16 to let the pitch drop a bit, but you're understanding. I think you're starting to hear it, and you're getting a better control of that tongue position. Great. Now let's look at this from a musical perspective, because I feel like we have the fingers, we have the technique, but it's getting the overall line. So we start with forte when we go to piano. So can we get a bit more interest in the forte? And then bring it back to the piano so it's more mysterious. Can we try that from the beginning?
5 minutes.
Thank you.
So from the beginning, you said?
Yes, please. Yeah, no, keep going, but this is where you get mysterious. Great. That's actually really good. What would like to try with you is really give it a bit of character. Try that again from the beginning. Great. Great. That was really good. Question: with the dotted quarter notes, with the dotted quarter notes, you are those the most interesting notes of that melody?
I would say the triplets are.
Yeah. So if we're going to give a little bit of interest to the triplets, you can come to those dotted quarter notes, but then come away. And make them glow a bit. So try that one more time. Great. That was actually really nice. I think I might have confused you. You're not going to come away on the triplets. The triplets are still going to be the volume they are. You're going to come away on the dotted quarter note. Because you're leading to the dotted quarter. And then once you get there, you're relaxing away. Try it one more time. Excellent. Excellent. That's exactly the kind of character you're going to want to maintain throughout the whole thing, because it's very fun, it's very light, and even though it's titled The Cruelest Month, that doesn't sound very cruel to me. I don't want to jump to the July because there's just not enough time to really get into it, but I really would say for you, a good exercise would be to continue the voicing exercises, all three of those going up, bop, 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 down, and chromatically sustaining the note. And then once you get really comfortable sustaining the note, try lightly articulating the sustained note to really get very clear articulation on the high notes. And then when you're going through these pieces, you could sing. I would recommend approaching them from a very vocal perspective. And particularly this one, it has this very vocal, lyrical line, and I think you have the skills to really draw that out and use your air in a way that expresses the music. Because I think for us, I know when I was an undergrad clarinetist, my main focus was making sure my fingers were doing what they were supposed to do, right? And Dr. Manashra has these perfect fingers that fit the clarinet, and my hands are super big and long, so I'm like, I can't fit the clarinet. So like, I was always really mindful about making sure my fingers fit the instrument. And you're able to kind of get beyond that and really think about what are these notes doing on this page? What is the music trying to say? And so I would encourage you now at this point to really step back and look at it from this more holistic musical perspective and have that intrigue, right? And pull out those tendrils, those threads of information so that everything you're working on behind the scenes, the technique, has a purpose for the audience, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that enough? Is that it, Sarah? Should I keep talking?
I mean, I'd love for you to keep talking, but that's about 15 minutes.
Lovely. Well, very good job, Dylan. Very good job. Thank you so much.
Yeah, why don't we do that? So, Logan, he is going to be playing the first movement of the Stravinsky.
Ooh, the three pieces.
And
Lord have mercy.
this is a new-ish project. This is going to turn into a summer project.
Ooh.
And so, yeah, so free for all, whatever interpretations, he has not been told too much from me.
Ooh.
So it's going to be amazing. Do you want to play without a mouse?
I can keep the last one.
Okay, it's up to you. Okay. Do you want to wet your reed? I'm sorry. Let's restart. Yeah, go ahead and take it off the instrument. Yeah, 1 second.
Yep, no problem.
And then
Once upon a time, I'll tell you guys a story while he's writing his read. A long time ago, Sarah and I were in the same studio, and she would come out with these crazy technical pieces because, like I just said, her fingers fit the clarinet perfectly. And I felt like I had to live up to that, or Dr. Kowalski was going to hate me. So I think it was my senior recital. I was like, you know what? I need to do technical stuff. So I played Bukalik and the Abyss of the Birds and some other like notey thing, thinking this is great. This is what I need to be doing with my life. Only to realize years later that that's not the purpose of making music. You know, the technique comes, right? That's not why we're here. I know it's really impressive to play fast notes. That's not why we're here. We're here to make music. Are you ready?
I think so.
Yeah, let's go.
sure works. Just a little louder.
Yay! Yay! So Logan, you've jumped right in. You said, I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to get into this. And I commend you. Very solid work. Very solid work. What I would like to talk about is, I know it says siempre piano, and you're really giving us this really great piano color. But what I'm going to ask is that we look for a solo piano, which is different than, say, maybe an ensemble piano where you really have to kind of create color and atmosphere. I'm thinking specifically Daphnis and Chloe at the opening, which is mostly just color, and it's a pianissimo color. We need here a solo piano. So we're just going to be a little bit healthier, and you're going to have a bit more command and air behind your sound. So just the first bar. I hear ba-dee-da-dee-da, just with a lot of presence. That was better. I would say we're still hovering in our ensemble piano, but you are now center stage taking command, and I would love to hear. Yeah, you're getting there. And I'm wondering, is the reed a bit hard because it's getting us a little bit of this sound, like the reed just doesn't want to give us full body action that we need here. But you're getting there, and that's the way forward, is really commanding this opening. Even though it says sempre piano, this piano is soloist. And that's one thing that's really nice about solo, like unaccompanied pieces. The dynamics are set by us. There's nothing to give it context. Piano is what we say piano is. If we have a volume louder than what we're playing, then that can very easily be our piano, right? So you're allowed to set the parameters of your own dynamic level based on your confidence and your experience and what you have to say musically. And we should all feel empowered to do just that, right? So then an exercise I want to try with you really fast to really kind of captivate our attention with how to use our air in these moments is if we go on a low E chromatically, I demonstrate, we're just going to go up, starting from a low E, up 5 notes chromatically, starting as soft as possible, and then crescendoing throughout as we go up, and then crescendoing even as we come down, so that the loudest part of this exercise isn't the top of the scale, but when we return back to the low E, and I'll show you what I mean. And then diminuendoing, once we get to that loud return to the E, diminuendoing as soft as possible to nothing. Can we try that? Starting on a low E, up 5 notes, so up to a G sharp. That's the idea. You executed that brilliantly. I'm going to ask if you can give me even more so that that low E is bigger. I want you to feel like you're too loud on that low E when you return. Now you're telling me that that's your loudest fortissimo on that low E that you can give me. I'm going to ask for it to be even louder. Try it again. Excellent. You're getting there. Now, are you feeling uncomfortable with that dynamic level?
Not really.
Oh, then you're not getting loud enough. I need you to feel really uncomfortable. So let's try this again. Wrong answer.
We have about 5 minutes.
Excellent. So now with that same concept, can we try this opening, feeling that control of the air? Ba-dee-da-dee. I think I'm saying the wrong pitch, but you know what I mean. E- Excellent. So then what we really need to do is give us that color. Right? So that G sharp, F sharp is an answer to that opening bit. So it's going to be it's going to have as much presence, if not more, than what we just gave us to connect this sort of idea. So can we try those two bars one more time? Excellent. And so then you continue. Excellent. And so now your job is to really connect through all of this using your air to kind of inform the shape of the line. Ba-dee-da-dee-da. Supported, and then your air is kind of moving and negotiating what's happening. And you're doing that very well. And that exercise that we just did really helps us feel how our air has to move through the instrument consistently and how we can then manipulate it to shape our musical voice, to shape the line. I like to think of my air as a string instrument's bow. It's very similar. The way we have to use our air is the same way a string instrument, a violin and cello has to use their bow. And so we have to have that same control and flexi of the air. So what I would say going forward with this piece, you clearly have an understanding of the layout of the land, but it's really challenging yourself to commit to a dynamic that is in the concept, in the range of solo, and really giving us these different layers of voices. So we have the opening ba-dee-da-dee-da, a response dee-da-da. There's opening again ba-dee-da-dee-da-da-da, and then the two voices come together. So it's really sort of negotiating these two what seem like disparate lines that then come together and merge and then come apart and then merge again. And your air is dancing along with these sort of lines, all right? So I'll ask you to play the opening 2 or 3 bars one more time, and this time push yourself to do something a bit drastic. Ooh, that was interesting. That was nice. And so this is a great opportunity to kind of like claim your space on the stage as the soloist, claim your voice, hold on to your voice, and say something that's meaningful to you, right? And the best way to do that is to have excellent control of your air, have a really good concept of what your dynamic range is, what your color palette is for this particular movement of this piece, and then commit. You know, you start the first note and you're in it, and you're in it to win it, right? And I think you are more than capable of doing that. I love that you said that when you did the air, the exercise, that you weren't uncomfortable with it. That tells me that there's much more for you to go, so you really feel uncomfortable in terms of like the amount of air you're producing, the quality of sound, or the wideness, the range, the depth of the expansion of your sound. And once you're able to kind of really tap into those parameters, then you know exactly where your limits are. And right now, it sounds sort of restricted, and we are trying to amplify to give us more options, right? So very good job. Enjoy this piece. It's one of my least favorite works, but it's used all the time. So have fun.
Thank you.
All right, so finally, we have Sarah Fultz here. Sarah actually graduated in December with a degree in performance.
Hey.
And is going to be doing her master's with Eric Mandat.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, so she got an assistantship at Southern Illinois. So we're super pumped and excited. And I asked her if she wanted to play something for one of the last master classes, and she agreed. So she
All
came
right.
back to us.
Let's hear it. This is the Roza, right?
Yeah.
Ooh. That's excellent. Sarah, is it okay if we stop there?
That's great.
That that's excellent. Yay! Give her a round of applause. That's excellent. I like your understanding of the piece. I have a completely different understanding of the piece, and that is not to suggest that your understanding is incorrect or invalid. So I just want to say that up front, that what I do is not what you have to do. All right. You get to make your own musical decisions. What I would love to do, though, is from the beginning, because I find the first two variations, for me, are the most meaningful, right? I feel like that's where, Roza is giving us the heart of the piece, and then we have to pull that forward in the other variations, right? So what I hear in this first one is I hear it, I know it's written in 3/4 and 2/4. I think what it really is just straight 4/4 bar where the line has been cut. So if we look at that first 3/4 bar, it's really a 4/4 bar taking the first beat of the second bar, right? So it'll be, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, right? And so because of this, because of the way it's written, I think that the interest isn't in the individual segments of these groupings of 3 and 2 and 2. It's really 8-bar phrases, or what are literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-bar phrases, that are the one gesture, followed by another 6-bar phrases, which is another gesture. And so because I hear it that way, I think the tempo might need to be a bit faster, and I think that you should only have to breathe twice. And actually, if I'm being honest, I would say you have to breathe once. And let me demonstrate what I mean. So he's giving us this dee da ba da dee da da, and you could take it slower. It doesn't be that fast. I'm just trying to save time. But dee da ba da dee da da da. But don't breathe here. No breath between this bit. Dee da 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 dee da dee da. So can we try that with the first 6 bars all in one breath, but still shape it? Lovely. And now the next 6. Lovely. Oh my God. That rallentando was inspired and organic the way it needs to be. Y'all take notes. I hope you're taking notes because that was excellent. So what I would love to do now is in that second phrase, because I'm breaking up into 6-bar phrases. In the second phrase, in the second phrase, we can't cut that F that we get in the second bar. We really have to give us that downbeat in the second bar so that we hear it. So can we try the second phrase from that G? The 3/4, and really giving us that throat or that middle F that we have. Yeah, I think I might have given you too much information. It's not even that serious. It's just we just have to make sure we hear the F. Ba da 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 dee da da. Can we try that? Yes, beautiful. Now, instead of crescendoing on that G, leave the crescendo a bit so that we get it maybe on the F that comes right after that G. Ba da crescendo, right? Try that. Yep, I did it again. I gave you too much information, my bad. What we're going to try, it's really more of the gesture. It's not the crescendo. The crescendo, I think, is just informing the line. Sometimes where our air has to go. And what will naturally happen is a crescendo. And oftentimes we see these hairpins and think, I need to get louder, I need to get softer. What I dare say is that in this case, Rota's just telling us that we need to have direction to that middle bit of the phrase and then come away from that. So you're leading to that with your air. And if that translated to crescendo, that's fine, but it doesn't have to be. So don't take it literally. Think it as a phrase marking. So can we try that again? Yes. So back to the beginning of this variation. I'm gonna move really fast because I see I'm taking up all this time.
Yeah,
from the beginning.
we have about 5 minutes left.
See, from the beginning, same thing, but give us those shapes. Lovely, right? That was lovely. What do you guys think? That was lovely. Now, take that same information, because that's the core. Let's apply that now to variation 1. Show me what you got with that same understanding of the phrasing. Yes, that was really well done, and I can tell you have a very keen ear to your shaping and the musical ideas you have. I would dare say that you can push yourself a little bit more, when you're coming up from these low notes, from like the low G's, let them just sort of bloom like flowers. So starting, and I really don't know this piece, so if I make mistakes, y'all can judge me and talk about it behind my back, I don't care. All right, so what I would do at the beginning of this, I would go something like, and I know it says poco retard, but I'm just trying to make a point, right? That when you're in control of what you want to do, you're able to take that time. So can we try that one more time, really understanding that these are phrase markings. I know they look like important things, but it's just telling us where the line is, where the shape is, and your air has to follow that. So let's try that one more time. I love that. I hope you do too, but you don't have to. And I will say with this one as well, you only need to breathe in one place.
Okay.
All right, one more time, breathe in one place, and I swear I will let you go, and Sarah can talk about it behind my back with you guys, I promise. I really like that, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I lied. I have one more point to make with this, is that when you're coming away at the ends of these mini phrases, those ends need to have as much care as you're giving to the beginning of these phrases.
Okay.
Don't throw them away. That's where the music is really gonna happen. Right? So I really want you to give us some taper, give us some shape, and let it kind of dissipate so that we can't hear where the note stops, the rest begins, and the next note begins in those connected phrases, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So can we try that with that in mind? And this time I swear, I'll let you go.
Okay.
What do you guys think? I really appreciated that, and I would only say that in order to really kind of feel solid in that is to pay attention to your little tenuto markings. Don't make a big deal of them. You know, don't signal them to the audience that, hey, it's a tenuto, but really use them as like a sort of an anchor that we know that this is the line's direction is changing, and with that change in line, the air has to maybe change as well to compensate that change in line, all right? And then as you look at these other variations, refer back to these first two to make sure that you're getting that same sort of shape, that same sort of like air usage. And in the moments when you're not, ask yourself, what is he doing here? Because that's going to be very important. But I think that for me sounds lovely.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna turn it over to you. I know you have a few things that you'd like to
Do I?
talk about. Is that okay?
Yeah. I mean, I can talk about anything. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Feel free to just jump right in. I love to answer questions. If not, then I'll talk your ears off for a good however many minutes I got.
Do you, I know I read your bio, but can you tell them just a little bit about your career and like the path it took?
Yeah, my career is funny. You know how you have that image where they say success is more like this and da 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 da. That has definitely been my life. I wouldn't say I'm successful necessarily. We all have to define what that means for ourselves. Success for me is just waking up in the morning. I'm like, hey, I made it. You know. So my career has been interesting because when I was in my undergrad with Dr. Manashra, I was a double major with a minor. So I was doing Spanish, clarinet performance, and psychology was my minor. And I did it because it was fun. I liked it. And from there, I didn't know, I had no plans to use Spanish whatsoever. It was just something I wanted to do because I enjoyed it. And it was a great way to kind of disengage from music, right? And so I left and went and got my master's in Milwaukee in clarinet with Todd. And then from there, I went to Baltimore and started a nonprofit with some of my friends from FSU. You might remember Jessica Abel, Jorge Toro, and Julia. She looks like Julia Stiles. That is not her last name, though. Anyway, we started a nonprofit in Baltimore. Jorge and I did. And then I ended up teaching Spanish in Baltimore. And when I was doing this, I was doing the nonprofit, after my master's, I needed a break from my master's. It was really intense. And so I went to Baltimore, started teaching Spanish, started the nonprofit, doing these two very disparate things all at the same time. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to do this Spanish teaching thing, I really need to get more qualifications. I really want to feel, secure in my knowledge. So I was like, maybe I'll get another master's. So I applied to NYU on a whim for this 1-year intense master's program in Madrid. and I happened to get in. So I went to Madrid, and so I was doing this master's with the plan of coming back to America to then continue teaching Spanish and then maybe getting a doctorate in Spanish and just kind of like letting music kind of do its thing somewhere else because I was just that burnt out, right? And so I got to Spain. I took my clarinets because where I go, my clarinets go. That's just how it works in my life. So I got to Spain, was doing this master's, really had a troubling time with the people in the program itself, and just like this doesn't feel right. Got to Spain, met someone, and we were like, let's stay together forever. La 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 la. So stayed in Spain for 3 years, finished the master's program in the year, then started teaching English there while doing the nonprofit in America, right? So flying back and forth. And then we're tired of Spain. The bureaucracy's crazy. Let's go find a place to live. And my partner was from Poland. So it was like either going to Poland or going to Spain or going to someplace else because America passports and him getting a visa would have been really challenging. We ended up going to Ireland because it was a path of least resistance. And so got to Ireland, or rather before I came, I applied for the Royal Irish Academy of Music and I got the teaching fellowship, the scholar thing. Was on the recital art project, the recital artist program, which is essentially basically me paying to curate a bunch of concerts. So I basically created 16 different chamber groups in my first year of just some of my favorite chamber music pieces to just kind of learn, play through, study with the principal clarinetist of the RT Symphony at the time, and did that for 2 years, and then slowly got back into music, because like, well, I missed it, and so then I've been here now, I guess 6, 7 years, and things just kind of, dovetail. One of my friends from my master's was in London, finishing up his master's, or one of my friends from Milwaukee, excuse me, who was doing his undergrad, went to London to finish up his master's, and we connected, and then Chineke started. So I was going back and forth between Dublin and London, playing in this orchestra. And then, from that, more things started happening. Met some friends through that who, like I had a friend who ran an opera company in Germany. So I spent my summers in Germany playing in this opera in company in Dresden. I have friends in Rome who I go hang out with, and then we like do stuff on the side. Then from Chineke, I met one of my good friends, Miriam Adam, who's an amazing clarinetist. You might know her. She was in Amani Winds. It was on the cover of the magazine with me. And so her and I have some projects in underway as well. And then from the contacts I made through the friendships, rather, not even contacts, these are friends I made in Chineke, other things that started coming together. So it was really just kind of piecemeal. Like I never intended any of it. I just kind of followed the path of least resistance, was prepared and made sure I was going to do what I could do. And then just sort of trusted that whatever was meant for me was going to be mine. And that's not always easy to do, and it's still not easy to do, but I'm really I'm committed to sort of kind of accepting the things that I have control over, enjoying what is present in my life, and not worrying about the rest, letting that stuff come to me in its own time, if and when it's supposed to, right? And I find that to be the most fulfilling. So that's basically a nutshell of my career. Like I just kind of put my hand in a pot and then see what comes out of the pot, and tends to be like a couple of things fall out of the pot, and so that's kind of been what it is. So yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what Chineke is?
Oh, Chineke is the first predominantly Black or ethnic minority orchestra in Europe, founded by double bassist Chichinawanaku, who was principal bassist of orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment. And it's a collection, a cohort of some of the best musicians from around the world who happen to look like me with my same skin tone. And I remember our first proms. We had members from the Met Orchestra there, Seattle Symphony, Atlanta Symphony. All these really great orchestras, people that I had looked up to my whole career, were like sitting next to me. I'm like, oh hey, and now we're like really good friends. And it was just like this really great sort of mission to kind of be a part of. It's like championing change, and from that, and it was very serendipitous because all this started happening as a precursor to Black Lives Matter movement, and the uprising with George Floyd. All this was like a precursor to that. And so when you start seeing these companies, these orchestras now saying publicly that they want to champion these things, Chineke was there from the beginning before that happened. And I have been talking about this stuff since I can remember, always with people looking at me like I'm crazy. So it was very, like, it's just very serendipitous how it all came together. And so now it's sort of like leading the way ostensibly in diversity initiatives across the UK, especially, and moving over into the rest of Europe. So, you know, the London Symphony, Philharmonia, BBC orchestras, they all kind of look to Chineke for inspiration in terms of like what diversity can really, what meaningful diversity can really look like in the orchestral context. What are some of the roadblocks that keep us from seeing orchestras that are more indicative of the populations they serve and that sort of thing, asking these questions and trying to come up with, you know, actionable answers, right? And it's brilliant. And the thing about this orchestra that's so phenomenal that I love about the people in it is that because of, you know, the hardships that have been in our way because of systemic oppression, we've had to develop entrepreneurial skills. We've had to kind of advocate for ourselves. We've had to kind of be resilient and have multiple facets. So we're all able, and most of us do a lot of different things and have contacts and connections and a network of just support globally that really sort of is, I think, one of the most beautiful parts of it. You know, like I know you probably heard of Titus Underwood. He's played with us a couple of times, and he's principal oboe of Nashville, and just got the Emmy Award. So he's played with us a lot, and it's these sort of like connections, these sort of friendships, really, that you make because of a common goal that then influence and have this impact globally. So the things he's doing, the things that Weston Sprott are doing, the things that my friend Uchenna Ngwe over in London are doing, you know, my friend Clifton, the things that they're doing have a global impact, even though they're starting very locally. And it's really brilliant to kind of see that happen.
Yeah. Any questions? Yeah, we got a question back here. Samuel.
How did you deal with all the travel that it sounds like you had to do?
Oh, I love it. I hate packing, though. I do hate packing. And now with COVID, I'm not traveling at all. I'm grounded, right? But before, you know, you get really good at it. You get really used to it. And the thing I will say, flying into London is one of my least favorite places to fly into. And ironically, I fly into there all the time. You know, it's a city with like 4, maybe 5 airports, and none of them are close to anything you want to be at. So it's just always a big to do to get into where you need to go. But I like it. I enjoy the travel. I mean, it's a great way to just kind of get out of yourself, get out of your space. Like I remember I was taking a walk with my friend Eric. Was one of the founding flautists for Ice Ensemble and lives in Vienna. He's an amazing flute player, one of my dear friends. Him and I were taking a walk because had a rehearsal later on that day, walking across the Thames in front of the South Bank Center where Chineke is a resident orchestra, right? Walking across the Thames one morning after breakfast, because that's what we do, and running past David Wells, who's a bassoonist that we know from Florida State, Sarah, you know, just ran into him. And I'm like, what are you doing in London? And so it's nice because you kind of run into people you haven't seen in decades. And you're in a new place. I will say, when I travel, it's very important that I kind of manage my own personal time, because I need time to decompress. I need time, like it can become very social, and sometimes you just need to be able to like say, hey guys, I need to just kind of rest. So it's kind of like for myself, I need to give myself permission to step away from all the action and make sure that I'm, you know, mentally and physically like able to do my job. So yeah.
Good question.
How many countries would you say you've been to?
How many what?
How many countries would you say you've been to?
How many countries? Ooh, surprisingly not as many as I would like to have been to. I've lived in Spain, been to Portugal, Poland, Lithuania, Germany, France, Italy, the UK, of course, part of Scotland and Wales as well. Ireland now, Northern Ireland, Sweden. That was fun. Trying to think any other place. I probably have been to other places. I can't think right now, but that's enough. I don't know. Do I need to go more places? I can. Belgium. Been to Belgium a couple of times. Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's fine.
Other questions? Yeah, Sammy has a question.
So when did you start playing the clarinet, and what was like your early musical experiences like?
That's a good question. um, I actually didn't start playing the clarinet until I was 16 years old. I was in high school when I started the clarinet. I played the saxophone before that, so not to be like, hey, he picked it up at 16. No, I played the saxophone in 4th grade. They gave me the tenor saxophone. So I started with that, and before that, I was singing. Like I discovered music because singing was my thing. I liked to sing, and my mom was like, "My baby can sing." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Um, so it was with voice. My grandmother sang, my aunt sang, and then the recorder, of course, took the saxophone. And then I was really tired of the saxophone. I was like, I can't do what I want to do on the saxophone. And I played tenor sax, so they never got solos. Their parts were always like the melody, and I wanted to be they had the harmony, and I wanted to be the melody, right? And then like I had friends who were like playing all this technical stuff on the clarinet, and I'm like, I want to do that. So I begged my parents to get me a clarinet. My dad was like, no, you need to master the saxophone. My mom's like, I'll get you one, baby. So I got a clarinet, and I was at the time taking clarinet and saxophone lessons. And my sax teacher was like, yeah, you need to you're not really committed. I'm like, you are absolutely right. Good day, sir. So I stopped the saxophone and just focused on clarinet from then. So it was like 16, and I was lived in Virginia when I started the clarinet, and Virginia All-State was very competitive, and I went to a school that was really competitive with a history of competition. So I was like in it, and I was super competitive, and I was not a very nice clarinetist. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If we were in high school together, I probably would have been really like not a nice person. It's not because I meant to be mean. It was just because I was focused and I didn't have time for the foolishness. Like they say, I'm not here to make friends. No. But actually, I did make a lot of clarinet friends in high school, so I guess I'm really lying to you. Actually, Eric Jacobs, who's bass clarinetist with Seattle, him and I are from the same state, and we're in All-State together. So I've known him since high school, since I began the clarinet. Really good friends. And I have a couple of friends, Raymond Santos, principal of St. Louis. Him and I met in Tanglewood together, and when we were in high school, so I've known him for a very long time. So I guess I did have clarinet friends. So yeah, never mind. I was a friendly clarinetist, but I was very competitive. So yeah.
You had undergraduate, you made friends?
In undergrad, no. Sarah, you and I were not friends in undergrad. No, I feel like in undergrad, my friends were mostly vocalists, like my best friend Jorge. I hung out with a lot of the master's students, Joan Van Dessel and I hung out all the time. We were really good friends.
She was in Michigan when I went to Michigan.
Yeah, she was teaching at Cornerstone for a minute. I think she's now in the seminary,
She left and joined the seminary,
yeah, in the Episcopal. So yeah, but she was a fabulous clarinetist. This woman could play. I loved playing with Jo. She was great, and like we would always like go in the practice room, and she'd show me something. She's like, "Bridge, you got to try this." Like, okay, Joan. So it was great. She was like, and that's actually the way to do it. Like, if you're able to be friends with great players who are older than you, who are willing to just kind of nurture and teach you, that's the way to do it. I think that's the best education. Yeah, and I remember when I got to Florida State, Dr. Kowalski was like, because I was like, oh my God, nobody likes me and I'm not getting along with anyone. He was like, you don't have to worry about them. They're not your competition. I'm your competition. And I was shocked. I was like, oh, okay. He was like, I'm the one you have to worry about in auditions. I was like, oh, snap. So yeah. No, I say this jokingly, but honestly, like in my undergrad, I didn't feel like any of the clarinetists in my studio really liked me. No offense, Dr. Menasher. I just didn't feel like I fit in very much, you know. It just didn't jive. I came in, I transferred in, and they already had their friend group, and I was like this new guy, and you know. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. Other questions? I have very little recollection of undergrad.
I remember it vividly. Vividly.
I had so many things happen after that
Hey, and that's fair. That's fair though.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fair. And you know what? I don't hold a grudge. I don't begrudge anybody. Like we were all just trying to survive, you know?
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know what anyone else was going through in their undergrad. I know for me, undergrad was stressful and challenging. I had people discourage me, openly discourage me, like professors say things to me to my face that I would not want to repeat to other students in my undergrad. So I can't imagine what other people went through. So I try to be really like, gentle, and like we all have our own struggles. If you can just be the best person you can be at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. So yeah.
What do you think, if you could say that there was one thing that you took from your undergrad that maybe they should think about since they're in the midst of it, what would that have been?
I would say, you never know who's going to do what, when, where. So just be friendly and respectful to everyone. Like I felt in my undergrad experience, your friendships were based on the level of excellence people thought of you, or where they thought you were in terms of the pecking order. And you just couldn't be friends with people just because you were a great person. If you were a great player, then you had friends who were also great. Like, and this is not just in undergrad. This is, I think, in America in general. We tend to kind of want to glom on or associate ourselves with what we think is the ideal, so that it will reflect back on us. So like, oh, I'm friends with this great person, so I then must be great as well. And I would say that because success and life are not linear, where you are today does not determine or define where you're going to be tomorrow. And if I had told any of the people in my undergrad or after that I would have been playing at Royal Albert Hall, or at the Concertgebouw, or playing with these great players, having recordings and CDs and people coming after me to come play, they would probably look at me and laughed. You know what I mean? So you never know. So just be a great person, not because you want something from it, but because it's the right thing to do, and be supportive of each other. And if you have an opportunity to promote someone, put someone forward, do it. If you're able to say, oh my gosh, I can't do it, but I know a really great person, do that. Be supportive. And it's much easier to grow when you're in a supportive environment. You can learn stuff from your neighbor, even though they might be ahead of you in band, or you might be ahead of them in orchestra. You can still learn something from them, from their struggles, from their successes. So be open to learning from your colleagues and helping each other out, because there's enough room at the table. And I think in America, we have this idea that there's only a finite number of seats at the table, and there's not enough room for everybody. But if we make room for everybody, there's room for everybody, right? And that's our responsibility as citizens of the world as we get older. Because what I realize now, because of my undergrad and everything that happened subsequently, is that one day we're the people that make the decisions. We're the ones sitting on the boards. We're the ones hiring and firing, organizing ensembles and concerts and da-da-da. That's going to be us. That's going to be you guys. And so the better you get at your personal relationships, to really seeing people and understanding them and recognizing them for who they are and their strengths and supporting them, the easier it is down the road when you're in a position to really kind of have to deal with people, to recognize their humanity and also be supportive, because at some point you're going to want that for yourself. So that would be my takeaway. Just be kind and, support people, and create a network of support, create a supportive network for people. Be inclusive as much as possible.
That's a really great message. I think this entire masterclass came from the fact that, this whole series came from the fact that I just reached out to people that many of them I hadn't seen in decades, but because we had built fairly good relationships in the past, it was usually, you never know where anybody's going to be, and you just
Exactly.
want to be,
Like, I was so happy when you got that job, Sarah. I was like, oh yeah, like I said, I remember Dr. Manash. I'll call it Dr. Manash for you guys. I remember in undergrad, this one having these fingers that just flew up and down the clarinet. I think you were doing wings. You're doing Joan Towers wings for Robert Spring Masterclass. And I was like, what is this? What are her fingers doing? Like, they just fit perfectly around the dang instrument. And I was so jealous. I was like, I gotta practice, because my fingers were just like gangling along, and I'm like working so hard. And yours just kind of sat there and nestled it and held it. And it was like, And so when you got this job, I was like, this is great. This is exactly like her thing. Like, she's doing her contemporary music. She's teaching. She's living her best life. And I was so happy. Like, I get really happy when my friends and colleagues and people I know from the past do great things. Like Etienne, he's doing wonderful things. Like, he just got a new job in University of Miami in Florida.
Etienne is giving a master class at 7:30 at this school.
Ah!
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, so he'll be beaming in.
I love it. That's so funny. Yeah, so like you know what I mean? Like, I love seeing that. So yeah. Oh. And then like when I have an opportunity to suggest someone for something, I'm like, oh, you need to talk to this person. They're great. This is they're great. They're great players. They're great people. Da da da. So yeah, like I am very appreciative that you even reached out to me, Sarah, to do this. I love talking to people.
Good. Any other thoughts or questions, things you'd like to add? Anything from the people at home? No.
Anyone want to talk about my clarinets?
Yeah, I need to try that brand. I don't know. I flip out. I have breakdowns when it comes to equipment.
Oh, I love to try new things.
It makes me feel sad, and then I lay in bed for days because I don't know what is good anymore. I don't deal well with it, so I don't change very much at all.
And that's okay. Like I went from buffets in my undergrad to Selmer's with Todd, and then very recently, within the last year and a half, to the Devin and Bergani's. So I was looking for something new anyway. Like I was going to do the recitals, the summer recitals, which I think, bar none, are the best horns on the market. Like my Devin Bergani's are great. I love them. I handpicked them. Da da da. But I think if you're going to go for just like one of the main makers, Selmer makes great horns, and I think their recital is like top notch. So yeah, if you're ever looking, like Devin and Bergani's, if you can find them, they're manufactured in Brazil, but they're moving operations to Portugal. So they're really popular in Brazil, and they're just now reaching over to Europe. So it might be a minute before you see them in the US. But yeah, if you get a chance to try them out, you should. They're fun. They're unique. They have mine has a lot of extra keys that at first were kind of challenging. But if you're looking for new equipment, have fun. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to sound like you. Just some things make it easier to do that.
Yeah. That's so great. I'll probably try them. I still play on
the LeBlanc, right?
I play LeBlanc Concerto. Yeah, on both. Yeah. So discontinued. They don't exist anymore. Eventually, I'm gonna have to.
She's playing on dinosaurs.
When it blows out, I'm gonna have to branch out. So maybe by that time, they will have reached the U.S.
Yeah. And again, if you can't find the Devin and Bergani's, though, you can always contact me, and I can probably get you a set. Check out Selmer's. Selmer's are lovely. Yeah. I stay far away from buffets personally, no tea, no shade, but yeah, check them all out.
I'm not a fan, but I'm a fan of whatever anybody sounds good on.
There it is. That's it. If it works for you, then it works.
Yeah.
I've had a hard time finding buffets, new ones particularly, that work for me.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Anything else? They're like, I'm hungry.
Right. Well, you guys go eat. Watch buffet. Call me and blacklist me or something, child.
Be like, fine, good.
Like, we don't want you anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, it was so wonderful to see you. Thank you all for coming. And yeah, I'm going to stop the recording, but let's schedule a